Hello, friends, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here today because we are talking about a topic that I think is going to resonate with a lot of you. Let me start with a question. Have you been feeling like your body is working against you lately? Maybe you're eating all the right things, working out, and yet the scale isn't budging. Or perhaps you're finding yourself exhausted by mid-afternoon, snapping at your spouse, your kids, or your coworkers over small things, and then lying awake at night feeling frustrated and stuck. If any of that sounds familiar, friend, I want you to know you are not alone and there is hope. Today, we are talking about fasting, specifically intermittent fasting, and how it can be a game changer for women, especially in peri-menopause. We'll explore why you might be feeling stuck and how fasting can help address everything from stubborn weight gain to mood swings, low energy, and even stress.
Welcome to the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast. Do you want better work-life balance? Do you get stuck in patterns of perfectionism and people-pleasing? Have you always been an overachiever but never really felt good enough, no matter how much outward success you achieve? Do you want more time for the things that matter most? Well, you are in the right place. Here on the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast, we focus on spirit-driven success and share the secrets to having better work-life balance as a busy woman in leadership. Here you will learn how to set boundaries like a boss, find peace of mind, and reclaim your time for the things that matter most. Hi, I'm Tanya, a wife, mom, leader, and certified Christian life coach. For most of my life, I tried to find worthiness through achievement. I spent decades people-pleasing and pouring myself into my work. I was looking for my value through the approval of others. This led me to feel burned out, empty, and exhausted. I had no time or energy for myself or my family. I realized that I was wasting time and energy looking for validation in all the wrong places. But my life changed when I finally surrendered and God showed me a different way. It is my mission to help you start living the abundant life God has for you. If you're ready to become fueled by grace and find freedom from people-pleasing, if you're ready to multiply your time and impact as a Christian woman in leadership, this podcast is for you. Roll up your sleeves, sister friends. It's time to get after it.
Let's start by talking about what's going on in your body during peri-menopause. Peri-menopause is the transition period leading up to menopause, and it can start as early as your late 30s, but typically it hits women in their 40s and early 50s. During this time, your hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone, are fluctuating. And let me tell you, those fluctuations can feel like a roller coaster ride that you certainly did not sign up for. Here are some common symptoms that many women experience during this season of life. First of all, weight gain. Many women, including me, notice that their weight starts to creep up, especially around the midsection. This isn't just about our eating habits. It is tied to hormonal changes and insulin resistance. Second, mood swings. 1 minute you're fine, the next you're crying over a commercial or snapping at your spouse. That is the hormonal roller coaster at work. Third, energy crashes. You might feel wired but tired, unable to relax but also completely exhausted. Number 4, sleep disturbances. Waking up at 2 a.m. and staring at the ceiling, hoping you can go back to sleep. Yep, that is a classic perimenopausal symptom. And finally, stress overload. With everything you're juggling, work, family, social and community engagements, it's easy to feel like you are running on fumes. Does any of this sound familiar? Well, if it does, take heart. These symptoms aren't a life sentence, and there are tools that can help you navigate this season with more ease and grace. One of those tools is intermittent fasting. So what exactly is intermittent fasting? Well, simply put, intermittent fasting is an eating pattern where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting. It's not as much about what you eat, but when you eat. And here's the kicker. Fasting is not new. It's been around for centuries, both as a spiritual practice and as a natural rhythm of life. From a biblical perspective, fasting has always been about more than just food. It is a way to reset, to quiet the noise of life and refocus on God. But there's also a physical reset that happens when we fast, and that's what we're talking about today. There are several types of intermittent fasting, but probably the most common ones are first the 16 and 8 method. This is probably the most popular, and it's where you fast for 16 hours and you eat within an 8-hour window. For example, you might eat from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then fast the rest of the time. Then there's the 24-hour fast. This involves fasting from dinner to dinner. It's a bit more advanced, but it can offer even deeper benefits. Some people do these weekly or once or twice a month. Then you have more extended fasts. These last anywhere from 36 to 72 hours, and they are done less frequently. They can help with cellular repair, immune boosting, and very, very deep healing. One of the biggest misconceptions about fasting is that it's about starving yourself. Let me be clear, fasting is not starvation. It is about giving your body a break from constantly digesting food so that it can focus on repair and restoration. Now, let's talk about how fasting can help with the specific symptoms of peri-menopause. First, we have the weight gain or the weight loss resistance. So here's the science. When we eat constantly, our insulin levels stay elevated. Insulin is a fat-storing hormone, and when it's high, it's nearly impossible to burn fat. Fasting helps lower insulin levels, making it easier for your body to access its fat stores for energy. Studies show that intermittent fasting can lead to significant weight loss, especially in the abdominal area. One study found that women who practiced intermittent fasting for 12 weeks lost 7% of their waist circumference without losing any muscle mass. Second symptom that we're going to address, the mood swings and the brain fog. Yes, brain fog is real. Fasting can actually stabilize blood sugar levels, which helps keep your mood more even. It also boosts something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which supports brain health and mental clarity. I've heard from women who say they feel more focused and less reactive after they've started an intermittent fasting lifestyle. One woman told me, I didn't realize how much my blood sugar was affecting my mood until I started fasting. Now I feel more like myself. I have to tell you, I have also noticed significant improvements in my mental clarity and my efficiency since I started trying intermittent fasting. And I'm only a couple of months in and not yet optimizing the length of my fast or the foods that I'm eating when I'm breaking my fast and at different points in my cycle. When women really start to align their fasting lifestyle to their menstrual cycle, that is when results really become amplified. And we'll talk more about that in other episodes. The third symptom that fasting can address is low energy levels. During a fast, your body transitions from burning sugar for energy to burning fat. This process, called ketosis, provides a steady and sustained energy source. No more mid-afternoon crashes, ladies. And finally, stress and overwhelm. Fasting actually helps regulate cortisol, your body's stress hormone. It's also an opportunity to slow down and create space for prayer and reflection, which can be incredibly grounding. So, how do you get started with fasting? Well, I would suggest starting small and building from there. For example, maybe you want to begin with just a 12 or 13-hour overnight fast. Finish your dinner at 7 p.m. and don't eat again until 7 or 8 a.m. Once you're comfortable with that rhythm, you can extend your fasting window. In tomorrow's episode, I'm actually going to talk about how different length fasts have very different health benefits, and we'll talk about the ideal fasting windows based on where you are in your menstrual cycle. But for today, here are some practical tips. These are tips to help you be more successful as you start to try intermittent fasting. Number 1 is meal prep. Plan your meals for your eating window so that you're not scrambling when you're hungry. Number 2, hydrate. Drink plenty of water during your fasting period, and also herbal teas and black coffee are great options. Number 3, listen to your body. It's normal to feel hungry at first, but true hunger will pass. Stay busy and remember why you are fasting. Honestly, I found that my struggle was more mental than physical, and I actually feel less hungry and more in control of my eating when I am intentional with my fasting intervals. I feel like I get hungrier faster and more often if I start eating earlier in the day. And finally, pair your fasting with prayer. Use fasting as an opportunity to grow closer to God. When you feel a hunger pang, let it remind you to just pray. Get quiet with Him. Fasting isn't just about the physical benefits. It's also a spiritual practice that can deepen your walk with God. When you fast, you create space to hear from Him, to reflect, and to just reset. Matthew chapter 4, verse 4 says, "Men shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." Fasting reminds us of that truth. On a personal note, fasting has been such a blessing in my life already. It's helped me find clarity in moments of overwhelm, and it's given me a deeper sense of peace and purpose. In just a couple of months, I can attest to feeling significant health benefits. I have more energy. I have less pain. I'd really been struggling with back pain, particularly the week leading up to my period, and that has been so much better. I'm sleeping better. I don't have night sweats, and I don't feel such volatile shifts in my mood and my energy throughout my cycle. And also, my cycle is more regular. I'm in a peri-menopausal state or season, and my cycle had been ranging anywhere from 15 days to 23 days to 21 days with significant premenstrual symptoms. Since I started incorporating intermittent fasting into my lifestyle, and like I said, I'm not even being real rigid or even optimizing my fasting yet, but I have already had more regular cycles that have been closer to 26 days, which is a more normal cycle, 26 to 28 days. If you've never tried fasting, first, be sure to consult with your doctor in case you have any special health concerns, but I encourage you to give it a try. Start small and invite God into the process. Believe me, He will meet you where you are. So friends, what do you think? Are you ready to give fasting a try? Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about taking one small step toward better health and greater wholeness. If this episode resonates with you, I would love for you to share it with a friend who might be struggling with similar challenges. Before we close, let's just close with a little prayer. Lord, thank you for the gift of our bodies and the wisdom you've given us to care for them. I pray for each woman listening today that you would guide her steps and give her courage to try something new. May she find freedom, peace, and joy as she leans into your design for her life. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for listening today, my friends, and as always, I pray that the Lord fills you with gratitude, peace, and His amazing grace.
I pray this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or encouraged you in some way. If so, please share it with a friend and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. That's the only way for me to know if you're enjoying the show. Nothing blesses me more than to hear from you. Also, come on over to our free Facebook community. This is a great place for us to support one another on our faith and leadership journeys. You can find the link to the group in the show notes or go to gracefilledleader.com/community. If you have questions or content ideas for the show, please send me a message on SpeakPipe or via email. Go to gracefilledleader.com/contact and leave a written or voice recorded message. I would love to know how I can best serve you on the podcast. Now to Him who can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3, verse 20. Until next time, my friends, God bless.